So step one is we admitted we were powerless over alcohol or drugs, that our life would become unmanageable. One thing you need to know is that in between these things is there's a hyphen and not a comma. So most people would think that we were powerless over alcohol, and because of that, my life had become unmanageable. And it's honestly the exact opposite. So if you look at it, it's a hyphen, which means that they're two separate ideas. They're two separate concepts. One is that I'm powerless over alcohol, and one is that my life is unmanageable. They're two separate things. Most of the time, my life is unmanageable. That's why I'm powerless over alcohol, because I can't live with myself, because I'm uncomfortable. That's the reason, not necessarily the other way. Most people think it's the other way. Powerlessness is a twofold disease. So, meaning that it's a physical and mental. So, physically, every time that an alcoholic drinks alcohol, they crave more alcohol, no matter what. Like, it's a physical thing. Most people will sit in meetings and they will say, they'll be 5 years sober, 20 years sober, and they'll say, I'm craving alcohol. Well, you can't crave something unless you actually ingest it into your body. Like, I like Oreos, so if I eat one Oreo out of the pack, then I am craving Oreos. I am going to eat the whole pack of Oreos. And then there's the mental side, which is the part that every self-help group, every 12-step group, any situation like that is going to try to get you to overcome, is the mental side. And the mental side is that somehow, someday, I think that I'm going to beat the game, that I'm going to have enough money, I'm going to have the nicest car, I'm going to have whatever it is, I'm going to have the right concoction with the right stuff, I'm going to be in the control with the right amount of alcohol or drugs, and I'm going to drink this but not that, or I'm going to drink after this time. Somehow, someday, I think that I can beat the game. And that's the mental side of it. That there's that I can always like undermine or control or figure this out. In every alcoholic, there's this deep-seated root that I can control and manage my alcohol consumption. But there is like a distinct entity. So alcoholics really are about only 10% of the population, which means that if I put 100 people in a room for 30 days and I give them 2 shots of Gentleman's Jack, that I like Gentleman's Jack. If I give them 2 shots of Gentleman's Jack and then I remove them from the room after 30 days, only 10% of those people will have physical craving, and that's called the phenomenon of craving. Like, people will physically crave alcohol if they've been inducing it into their body for 30 days. Only 10% of them, though. The other 10% would just walk away and move on with their lives. Those would be people that we would call normies. And then, like, drug addiction is a little bit different. So if you take the same 30 people and you put them in the room for 30 days and you give them a 1/4 gram of heroin every single day, everybody that leaves the room will be physically dependent on it. But the only important part of the physical part that you need to know if you do drugs or alcohol, if you do alcohol, let's say, is that if you drink alcohol, you need to know that I'm physically incapable, that I'm physically craving it no matter what, because people will have 5, 10, 20 years of sobriety, and then they will think, well, I can control and manage my drinking. But what you need to know is that the physical side is still there, the phenomenon of craving, that once I drink alcohol, it takes over, and I have to have it.